What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Italian Stallion, getting ready for another episode of Rebels with a Cause. Before I bring in my co-host, I just want to give a shout out to everybody watching at home. Like that button, hit subscribe, do whatever you do to get this show out there. Because you know what we about to talk about? We about to talk about some West Rebel basketball. We're even going to talk a little bit of football as well. But the truth of the matter is that we want to also hear from what you guys think about the show, about also the basketball team. If you've been following it, we had 2 Heartbreakers there in Marble City. But without further ado, we're going to talk about it all. My co-host, Mr. 2003 West, he's been the voice of the Runnin' Rebels basketball team for 18 years, also called other sports while he was a student at West, a class of 2003 graduate, and he's been confused as Omar Epps' stunt double for his movies. The one, the only, Pair Tate. Let's give him a round of applause as we bring him on.
Thank you.
How's it going, my brother? How are you doing this evening for our 3rd episode of the Rebels with a Cause?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I'm partaking in some of the herbals with my Swiss Apollonia, so got that going on. And watching UT play up against Mississippi State, which is 70-72. It was a tough week. It's been a tough 2 games for our Runnin' Rebels when we look at the way these guys played against Alcoa. I want to say that game was on the 6th of January, and that was a tough loss. We also look at how they played last night, which was a heartbreaker in a 61-68 loss to Farragut. I really thought they played well at times in the first half, but the rotations have not been working these last, I want to say, 2 games, because we're just not getting that certain production out of certain guys. I think losing Dane in the Austin East game has hurt us more than I thought it would. Hopefully we get him late January, early February, but he will be out for a month. So hopefully that timetable gets faster, because we need this guy. This is the guy that you make a run with. This is the type of guy you make a run with for a deep run in March. Total deep run. Hopefully we can get there.
Totally.
We just gotta have patience. Better.
And let me tell you something. When you're 6'6", you can't coach or teach that.
No. And what he provides at a 6'6", he's our X factor. He'll go get it. But I will say this: Devin Martin showcased that he's one of the top players in the city and the state the last 2 games.
What's his nickname, by the way? What is his nickname?
Devastating.
And without him, you get run off the court in both games. I mean, he had to hold it together, especially with another key player going down. We're going to get into all that. We're going to go in the order. We'll go back to the Rumble in Marble City that happened Thursday. Then we'll discuss last night, and we'll have a look ahead too for the big 2 coming up, because right now the Alcoa game you could have afforded to lose because that was a district game. Farragut was on their heels, as I had mentioned, and they got themselves a big district win on the road, no less. Mm-hmm. And, I also wanted to talk about what an advantage we've talked about the football team having with home games, but West has not taken advantage of the home crowds that you've had for these last games. And then you lost Austin East as well at home, but you turn around and you're road warriors. I mean, you went to Heritage and looked like world beaters over there. And I don't care about competition, but when you're at home like that, you have got to fend home court. You
gotta defend home.
have to, especially for these district games when every game counts, because this is all about seeding and where you're going to play at the beginning of February.
Right. And West being fourth in the district, they're 1-1. On the road, they are 5-1. On the neutral floor, they're 3-0. At home, they're 1-3.
Yeah.
The team that has 915 points scored and have only been scored against 699 times. Like, it's something that just really irks me, the way they play in the second half.
Yeah.
The Alcoa game was very indicative. The Alston East game, all of their losses, and in the 4 losses, the one that probably stings the most may be this one, because it was closer than what the score appeared.
Yes. And we're going to talk about the third quarter in both games, basically determining the end result. And also the fact that, again, I will own wins just as much as I own losses, like you do, okay? And we ain't excuse makers. We are not. We're telling you what we saw, and you've played and you've been around basketball your whole life.
Yeah.
Me, I played a little bit, but not near the level of competition and in for what you did for actually West. But I've been around enough basketball that I know X's and O's and what your identity is. And you've got too much talent on that team. And as we had talked about on one of the first episodes, how deep of a team it is. And the rotation was just not there in certain situations. So let's go to the Alcoa game first.
Yeah.
At halftime. Oh, go ahead. What'd you say, 2-Pair? I'm sorry.
Let's break that one down.
Let's break that one down. I've got a score, a final of 59-69. Now at halftime, it was 32-33. I mean, it was back and forth. I mean, they were trading baskets. The defense was there. There were a couple of questionable calls. Again, I don't want to make excuses, but the referees in that particular game had no consistency whatsoever, 2-Pair. I mean, you're allowing some really physical contact in that first half and not giving any and ones, not even giving any free throws. But then at the end of the game, you're calling touch fouls, and I can't stand that. If anything, it should be the reverse, where you swallow the whistle at the end and it's mano-a-mano. And if it's a blatant foul, then of course you got to call it. But the ticky-tack stuff, I mean, that really robbed us of a very, very big game, in my opinion. I could be wrong. However, I just feel that, basically speaking, how the refs called that game frustrated our players. I think it frustrated coach and may have determined what you had out there in terms of rotation. There is a domino effect with how games are. But what makes people stand out and rise above as coaches, as players, is how you adjust to those situations, because not everything is going to be, a yellow brick road with lollipops and sugar canes. I mean, it's just not going to be that way. But that being said, though, coming out of halftime in the third quarter, I thought Alcoa's coach did a phenomenal job with the rotations and also utilizing timeouts, because West took a lead in that third quarter, and I think it was 37-33. I think we got a 3-pointer right off the bat. We got a 2. He calls a timeout, gets in his players' faces, and after that, it was the Javin Carter show in the third quarter. Not to mention, again, no excuses here, but the contact, again, the ref's not calling stuff, where Reese gets kind of pushed, the ball comes off of him, he lands his foot on the ball and kind of looks like he twists the knee a little bit, and they call him for traveling or something. It's a turnover, and it's Alcoa's ball. And then Reese is limping to the sidelines, and you didn't see him the rest of the game. And that was with about 5:20 or 6:20 left in the third quarter. 5:20, I want to say. I had it written down. And that changed the whole complexity of that game going forward, in my opinion. Carter, of course, the Penn State commit, really took it over and was even being egged on by the crowd, and he got 34 points. Eli Owens, who earlier that day had committed to the now national champions Michigan, he contributed 13 points and was just fire, making some clutch free throws that really extended the game, even with the West crowd as rowdy and loud as it was, mocking him and calling him overrated. He didn't even bat an eye at that and sunk them free throws. And then, again, I'm not completely all about Alcoa, but I'll give praise where praise is due. That freshman boy, Jameer Dean, he started off slow, but that fourth quarter with that dunk, 13 points himself. So between those three guys and the rotation that the Alcoa coach was doing, I mean, Hahn, one of their seniors, didn't contribute points-wise, but he helped on the defensive side of the ball. Even the other Eli Graff, he also helped on the defensive side of the ball. I'm just saying that all their guys, and then he got some valuable minutes from two athletes. I didn't even get their names, but it wasn't about them scoring so much, but they were passers. They were relentless. They were all over the place. And I felt you had a gassed West team at the end in the fourth quarter. But I'm going to allow you to tell me where I was wrong in anything that I said, Pair.
I don't think you're wrong in anything you said. I think once Jack Keefe was on the court and Jalen Hill really didn't dictate the pace of that game. And I thought Jalen played absolutely fabulous the Farragut game.
Yes.
Jalen Hill we need because I think Jack is a very solid role player, makes key passes, doesn't turn over the ball, but he gives up a lot of height.
Yeah.
Got put up in matchups that weren't favorable. Carter had the ability to raise up on him at any time. And
even shook him out of his shoes, unfortunately, on that one. That was just nasty. I mean,
times where it was getting bad. And there were just times where you're watching it and you're just saying, we got to have Jalen Hill, we got to have Reese Clark, and either Joe Dupree or Garrett Birch at that 3 position, Jack and Martin on the interior.
Yes.
Because those give us favorable matchups. If Hill dictates the pace, where he's able to dish to Reese Clark and he's able to dish to Garrett Birch, that frees up so much on the inside with Kevin Jack and Devin Martin.
Yes.
That's where they didn't utilize that against Alcoa. So you saw a team just really just drop off from going to the same coverage they were playing in the first half to the second half. Alcoa jumps out on that run, and it just like an avalanche coming every play.
Yeah, and one criticism I have, and I saw it last night in the Farragut game, and with Alcoa as well, that I'm a little bit critical of Coach Caporo about. Utilize those timeouts to stop the momentum. Case in point, last night we jumped all over Farragut, and it was 11-2. And that coach called a timeout, settled his guys down, and before you know it, they were up 13-11.
Really quick.
So that means that they went 11-0 on a run after, the timeout was called by the Farragut coach. Then that's when coach calls his timeout because you just gave up an 11-0 run and you just gave up whatever leads you had and so forth. So same with the Alcoa game. You have got to slow down Javin Carter or somebody like that you go up against when they are getting hot and utilize different matchups. You've got too many athletes on that bench.
It's too many athletes that are
and put them on that guy and get 5 fouls. I mean, I might be skipping ahead to Farragut. We'll talk about the end situation at the Farragut game because I think that was still a winnable game if the right substitutions.
Both coming into this game too.
Yes.
Like you beat a team like that. Like Farragut just beat Corns in a non-league battle, 62-59. Alcoa, who beats West, then loses.
Yep, to Cherry and the boys.
To the best backcourt duo in the state, Austin East, with the Cherry guys. Like, it's crazy how that happens, because West was able to avenge a loss by beating them at their place. I just think West, maybe they're just not. I don't know what it is at home.
I think. Can I tell you this too? Mm-hmm. Not only did we hype that matchup up, and it lived. Look, the hell with the score, the 59-69. Okay, that game was absolute fire in that first half. And I'm going to tell you this, and tell me if I'm wrong. You had, because you were one of the only few Thursday games coming off a break, you had some royalty in the house. And I ain't just talking football players from last year. You had the UT cheerleaders practicing their national routines. When has that ever happened at West, two pair? And never. And it happened again at halftime of both girls and boys games against Farragut yesterday. Right. And then on top of that, you had one of the Kimber twins in the house from Fulton, the defending champs of 3A. And you had other players like from Bearden at that game kind of checking things out, hidden in that stands. And realistically, you had people there. I mean, it was a rumble in Marble City. It was a grudge match. And we had a chance. We did.
I think both games have been they're not indicative of what this team really is.
No. I think that honestly, I was never a fan of. I get it. It's the holidays and so forth like that. But I think next year, for this team to get their full potential, to schedule a big time tournament, because Farragut played in one, Alcoa played in two, and they got to kind of see what they're going up against in other states that in these competitions. And they're not necessarily having to travel very far. You know what I mean? And you played in the Heritage Holiday Tournament. I get that. But I want to see you guys stretch your legs against a team from Carolina or up in Kentucky or down in Georgia. It ain't that far.
Yeah, it ain't that far.
And I think you will learn about yourselves with 3 days of basketball during that stretch. And I think they were on fire going into the Christmas break, in my opinion. They got to get that eye of the tiger back, not to be cliche, but they got to get that edge back. And they can do it on Friday against an opponent that is desperate for a district win. They're 0-2 already, and they're not trash. Forget their record. They're not trash.
They're not.
And so you got to come out there and really, really bring it, because there's something waiting for you on Tuesday, again at home, and you're going to need to redeem yourselves at home against this powerhouse of a program. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I might be going up ahead, but the thing too is, Devin did 19 points, and like you, two pair, I agree. We need Devin down low. I mean, I know that, he wants to kind of swing around and so forth like that, but him and Kevin Jack do not need to be shooting 3-pointers. Their game is down low, and they need to be rim protectors. They need to be getting rebounds. They need to do kickouts. I mean, that's the thing they need to be doing, and getting those easy putbacks back up there, because they can eat, both them boys. And when Britton comes back, that's even going to be more huge, because you've got 3 solid guys, 6'3" and over. And last night, I thought Kevin could have gone off for more than he ended up with. I was surprised you only ended up with 8. Because 6 of his 8 points were in the first quarter. He outweighed the guy trying to defend him by easily 30, 40 pounds and was backing him down. And keep doing that, boy. Until they have to foul you and stop you. And that's another thing. Free throws need to definitely be worked on, because in both those games, that was also the huge difference. They were making their free throws. We were not. And I've always been very big about every free throw you make is 1 point closer to victory, not to sound cliche. And so they were making them. We were not. And I think those were your differences of your points in those margins of defeat.
Absolutely. One thing that I will say, if they're taking threes in rhythm of the offense, I don't have a problem.
Sure.
But I don't like the ill-advised 3-point shots that we're taking.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a bunch of those throughout the season, and mostly the Alcoa game was very noticeable out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're having to shoot threes to get back into the game.
Yep.
And you got to find ways to get Dupree the ball.
Yes.
Joe Dupree should not just get 5 shots a game.
No. And to keep your train of thought, in both games, he made 2 of those 3-pointers and ended up with 6 points in each game. Keep shooting, Joe. Honestly. And 2 of them popped out. Like, I swear it was in the cylinder spinning around, and it was like that thing off of Happy Gilmore. Like, the ball spit it back out laughing at you. And then theirs go in like there's no problem. And it's like, and you didn't even get Birch out there, like you said, who's another 3-pointer.
Yeah, like Garrett Birch. You got to stretch the floor. Like, it's got to be a time in the season where they need to just go ahead and say, look, we need to play the game with inside out instead of outside in.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they get in the games where they're playing outside in and they forget that they have 2 guys that can get a bucket inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Spread the floor with Birch and Dupree and Clark. Spread the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was too much. There was too much that they were in each other's way. There was no flow, like you said. There was no swinging the ball around. Nothing, and everybody was too tight, and that doesn't work. You've got to spread the floor, like you said. I want to give a shout out, and I was shocked again with the box score that he didn't get on there. But I'm impressed with Chris Cowan's play, too. He's like a ball of energy off of the bench. He had 4 points in that Alcoa game, and I thought that he had scored in that first half against Farragut, but I guess he didn't. And he really didn't play that much in that fourth quarter, which kind of shocked me as well. The other thing, too, I was talking with a couple of the fans in the stands, and they were surprised that Coach takes Jalen, like you said, who had a fabulous game last night, and Reese off the court. And I think that one needs to stay on the court at all times. And then when you have them both, that's even better. But rest them in a way that like you have one on there at all times and so forth like that.
Yeah.
That was his opinion, and I agreed with him.
I agree. I think it's nothing against Jack, but Jack gives a lot up on the defensive end.
Yeah.
For what Jack gives you as being heady, throwing dimes, smart plays, high basketball IQ, kid really can shoot. Defensively, he's guarding guys that are 6'4", 6'3".
And he's 5'8" on a good day. I mean, he is. I'm 5'8", so it's no fault. There's no shame in that.
Yeah. It's like he's there. He's spot on defensively, but they're able to rise above. And when they're able to rise above, it's nothing really you can do defensively. So, but what he provides offensively is being heady. I think he's got to be out there with either Hill or Clark.
Yeah.
He's either got to be out there with Jalen Hill or Reese Clark, because just from a playmaker standpoint, he's a better option with one of those two guards in. Yeah.
And here's the other thing too: if Jalen is facilitating the ball, like you said, dictating it as the point guard, then that's a heck of a weapon to have Jack Keith as a two shooting it, because he could shoot. I mean, in fact, I wish he would have taken another couple more shots last night, to be honest with you. And he was swinging the ball around, trying to get his teammates involved. But if the shot's there, brother, take it. Take that shot. And the thing is your three-pointer went in and actually kept us in that game. That three-pointer was huge, and I was kind of hoping he'd do another one the next time down the floor, because they did get a stop only to turn the ball back over again. And so there's that. But, Garrett Birch didn't even see the court last night, which I was really shocked about. I thought that would have been a game that you could have had him and Dupree with Jalen and have Jack and Devin down low or what have you, and that would have been a heck of a weapon. I don't think Farragut could have defended it correctly, to be honest with you. I just don't. They were moving guys. They were playing a zone, but I think that you could have even cheated Devin up to the elbow to break the zone and gotten a bucket or so. I don't know. So, but just a thought, but so stinks.
It does, man. It really does.
Yeah.
Like it's like really sad, man. Like it's a game that was winnable, and
it was. Both of them were.
But
I thought both of them were. I thought both of them were. I mean,
it's not. They just played a very good ball game. They played smarter. They played.
Yeah.
They made the proper rotations. The Van Acker kids came to play. Berkeley Nero, who I want to say he should. I don't want to say he's a senior.
Mm-hmm.
But
is Aiden Van Acker a senior this year too?
He's a senior.
Golly, I mean,
junior.
But I'm gonna tell you this.
I think Dom Van Acker is gonna be a special. I think Dom Van Acker is gonna be one of the better players around here. Aiden is an incredible shooter.
Yeah.
Aiden is that Farragut team should be better than their record.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I mean, yeah. And I didn't say that I was going to underestimate them at all or what have you, but I was just shocked because when I was looking at who they had beaten and who they had lost, I mean, again, I just was not very impressed with who they were losing to and who they had beaten. And I thought that, but I did say this, the one thing I preferenced on the last show, I said when it's a rivalry game like Farragut and West is you throw the records out. And they wanted it more. They hustled, they got rebounds, and we looked tired at the end. And again, that goes back to the rotation. And if you've got some key guys out, then that stinks. But again, you've got a lot of athletes on that bench that I felt should have played last night. I mean, I felt you played more guys in the Alcoa game than you did the Farragut game. And I would have thought that the bench would have been tighter in the Alcoa game as opposed to the Farragut game. Am I wrong with that?
I'm right with that, because when I look at it, you want to hear what Farragut is ranked in the state of Tennessee?
Please enlighten our audience, please, because they need to hear this. We let one out yesterday, I think. I mean,
check this out. They're ranked 143 in Tennessee. Even here, you want to hear it some more. In District 4A, in the division, they're 48. 48. In Knoxville, they're the 28th best team in the city of Knoxville.
Wow.
28. And we're going to keep going with these numbers.
Sure.
We lost to a team that was 7-12. They are now third in the district because they're 1-1. They are on a winning streak of 2, where West is on a losing streak of 2.
Yes.
It's a difference in how games are played out, where you lose a non-league game to Alcoa, and then you play Farragut, you run up against them and you take a tough loss.
Mm-hmm.
And let's look at what they are home. Farragut home is 2-2. Away they're 2-4. Neutral, they're 3-6.
Wow.
And West, you can't lose games to teams like that. And there's no bad about Farragut, but when I see on the neutral floor you're 3-6, so that means you lost a lot in those holiday tournaments. When I see that you're 2-4, you're going to struggle on the road, and at home they're 2-2.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the other thing too. Last night, Devin Martin, 26 points. I mean, my goodness. And a couple didn't go in, and there was a couple of calls I think they missed where they fouled him, and he was begging for a call. I mean, there was that call late in the fourth quarter to Pair. I don't know what those refs were looking at, but they actually said that was a turnover on him double dribble. How did that happen when, these guys were almost like throwing their bodies at him? And I don't get that at all. I don't get that at all. So, for all of our viewers out there, definitely, if you want to post a comment, if you got a question, please bring it. Did you watch the game? I think Farragut had the radio coverage last night. I don't know if Diamond had the game on or not for West. But, still, if you were there at the game and you want to, bring your thoughts, please put them in that chat, please. And I'll post them on the show for sure. That being said, also, I just cannot believe how we fell apart in that third quarter night. 33-29 lead at the half. And that just bothered me that, and Van Aker, heck of a player. Please don't get me wrong.
Both of the Van are really ball players.
16 in the third quarter. I mean, bro, he hits like his third three in a row. Once that, and like fires a gun like to the crowd, like or whatever, like that. Like he just like, and more props to him. Heat check. I mean, bam, But it's like, why didn't we get mad about that? Why wasn't time out not called?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll say this: the Daniel Lanning kid, very played big. I thought their sophomore class is nice.
Yeah.
They got a nice crew on that sophomore class. I thought Parker Lane played well.
Yeah.
I thought he played pretty well.
He had 2 points. 2 points.
2 points.
Yep. Their rotation was great. They substituted when they needed to, and they got contributions from everybody and let the game come to them without being too, too crazy. If you get my like almost doing too much. They let the game come to them, and it just flowed. It was beautiful basketball on their side, and I'm just sorry we didn't call any timeouts to break whatever flow they had going positively, because they sure called the timeouts when we were going on our runs and really stopped our momentum. Reese finished with 7 points despite leaving in the third quarter, and he didn't play the entire fourth quarter. I was surprised that we didn't see Hunter last night more. We saw Hunter a lot in the Alcoa game, and he had a layup that I thought he had, and it rimmed out and so forth in that Alcoa game. But this go around, we only saw him briefly in the first quarter to sub for Kevin Jack, and then he was out. And Devin Martin came out, and Kevin Jack came back in, and then that's when at one point Coach had Jalen, Reese, I guess was in there as well, and then your fourth guy was surprisingly Cowan or what have you. So he had like one big and 4 wings or 4 outside players out there, but didn't get dancing there the rest of the game, which I was kind of surprised about, And then when Devin was rested, Devin came in, and then he took Jack Keith out. So it was just interesting, like you said, the substituting patterns in that game last night. And I really feel that he just did not trust his bench more. And the guys were kind of gassed with about 1 to 2 minutes left in the game. And I'll tell you another thing that I saw. Coach had yelled to Jack Keith to foul. So maybe he misses a free throw, shorten the game a little bit. And Jack looks at Coach and goes, "I've already got 4, Coach." And that right there, why don't you get a Garrett Birch like you mentioned in there? That's a guy that didn't play. He had all 5 fouls, get him in.
That's what I'm Like,
shorten the game. I mean, you had time.
in the
And
same
a
game.
minute in high school basketball is an eternity if you foul, honestly. And maybe they make their free throws, maybe you don't. But again, here's the thing: you got a 3-point shooter out there, so trade 2 for 3. College basketball does that all the dang time in these games that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what was frustrating.
You got Dupree and Birch that can shoot.
Yes.
These dudes can flat out shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get them the ball.
Yes.
The flow. I don't like subbing a guy in and telling him I need instant offense when he ain't even touched the ball.
No, yeah. It's true.
Like he ain't even touched the ball from it going through the net and him passing it to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's because we're not able to dictate the pace. If we're not dictating the pace, we will not be a team going to state. You have to dictate the pace. You're not playing with a shot clock. You don't have to worry about 1-and-1s anymore. 5.
5 fouls, you shoot 2 the rest of the way.
Yep. So you've got a lot of factors to help in winning this. Why are they not running that press? They're only pressing a few. When they press, they got turnovers. Run the press the entire game, because that's basically why you have this bench.
Yeah, and Farragut was really wild there for a minute. They were throwing passes out of bounds. You're right. When they were pressing, they were a little confused out there, and we were almost like baiting them to throw the deep pass. And it was almost like in football, Devin or Jack was there to intercept it and get the ball and throw it, and dictate the offense. They thought they had an easy bucket. No, they didn't. Somebody was there to get it. So that's the other thing too. I think they need to make a decision starting Friday. Jalen dictates this tempo, and play your dudes that can get out there and play. I mean, honestly, use a rotation and use your timeouts. I mean, you can't take them with you to the next game. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny when I say that. Call those timeouts, because these 2 coaches that I have watched have utilized those timeouts. And whether it was a 30, whether it was a full, just anything to calm their guys down. And I feel we aren't dictating, like you said. We're reacting, but we're reacting too late. And by that point, you're not out of the game, but you've made that hill to climb a lot larger than it needed to be, if that's fair to say.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up these 2 games, the girls team obviously still has not won their first game of the year. They lost to Alcoa 14-76. And then the Farragut girls last night, I believe, stayed undefeated, and they ended up winning 86-20. But shout out to Ashlyn Stewart and Maya Beeler last night. I mean, they hit some really tough shots, especially with hands in their face, and they just did not give up out there. And the girls, they're playing some really tough teams right now, and this district is a bloodbath, not only in boys basketball but in girls basketball. And I just encourage you girls, just to keep working on things, even if you're not practicing with the team. If you got a hoop at home or something, just practice layups, practice your free throws, practice, catch and shoot, your motion. And you can do those things on your own. Take a jog, do something to just really just stay in condition. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, because the thing is they're trying out there. They really are. But at the same time, they are going up against some teams that are very deep, and I feel like they're I don't even know if they have 10 girls completely to make a deep squad, let alone go practice 5-on-5. But the girls that get out there and play, I mean, props to you, and just don't give up. Like if the minute that you miss a basket, run back down and play defense. That's what it's all about. Go hard for those boards. Size don't matter. It's heart. when it comes to rebounding, honestly, and just being conditioned and not get tired. That's the thing where I feel on the football field we win because we're the better conditioned team in that fourth quarter in those dogfights if the game's not already over. But realistically, if you get down and you mess up, don't let it affect you, because in basketball, especially, next play. I mean, it really is next play.
And I will say, they've got to start running things through Ashlyn Stewart.
Yes.
I think Adelie Adams, Caroline who I would want on the floor, Adelie Adams. I definitely would have Caroline Wanamaker, because I think she can play. Ashlyn Stewart. Ashlyn Stewart just needs to shoot the ball a lot more.
You know what? Can I tell you this about Wanamaker? She's got effort out there. She is all over, trying to guard, trying to go after the basketball. I mean, dear, get out there. Like, honestly, do keep doing your thing. It's noticed. It is noticed. And realistically, like what you said, who was it that you said to after the game to Pair yesterday? You need to shoot more. Like, keep shooting. And she was all shy and everything like that. And it's like, listen, basketball may not be as rough as football, but it's contact. You got to be rough out there. They're mean. I mean,
I want to say that was I told Shelby Whedon that. Now, Coach Carruthers, I call these the Coach C quotes of the week, and I'll
do it.
So Coach C, his quote was, "Why? If you need to be the solution to the problem, or you're just creating more of a problem by not coming up with a solution and not encouraging. And what needs to be encouraged is they've got to find a way to limit their mistakes. And I think they got to they're not communicating on defense at all. There's no communication on defense. But one thing I will say is that they play they're giving it their all. They're just not put in position to win.
I agree. And can I throw this out there too? Back to the defense. If you've got a team that isn't very deep, like West, maybe run a zone. Honestly, or something. And again, the top.
Yeah, they're not good man to man.
Yeah.
It is last night felt as if Farragut was very comfortable. Like Lily Mullins is getting buckets.
Yeah.
Anderson, who I feel has been at Farragut forever, was getting buckets.
The Van Acker sister got a bucket or two.
Gabby,
I mean, shoot.
The freshman. Hold on. Gabby Van Acker scored.
Oh.
Anna Priest was having a ball game. Reagan Sheridan, whose sister Ashlyn played for Farragut, I want to say year before last or last year. Like, I got to the point I was reminiscing on knowing every Farragut player that scored. I think every player scored. And Mayfield is one of the better coaches in the city. Jason Mayfield is phenomenal. Yeah. Like, those are ready to play.
And they're undefeated for a reason. Honestly, that just shows that how deep they were. And I'll tell you this, I don't know who that tall blonde girl was for them for number 20, but I swear she was like stealing every pass.
McNeely.
Yes.
22 and Maya Johnson. Like, they are loaded. Farragut, that's the team. That's the state championship team.
Yeah. Yep.
That, like, KJ McNeely is a sophomore, and she was absolutely the best thing I seen on the court. Like,
oh my God, yes. And not only is she stealing the ball, she's going coast to coast, laying it up, or finding a teammate that's already in motion, and they're laying it up, and they're not missing these like wide open layups. I mean, they are perfectly timed and perfect form. And I was like, just in awe. I mean, again, I'm not like a Farragut fan, obviously. I'm all about the W, but I will give credit where credit's due, honestly. And those girls played fantastic last night. And what I would love to see is our girls team again, any girls out there in school, try out, come out and see what you can bring to the table, honestly. And again, you put the work in. And I think these girls for Farragut probably have been playing together since, the little league days of, whatever league they've got, CBFO over there, whatever it is in Farragut. I know it's West Bearden and KYS in this side of the town or whatever to an extent. But I mean, whatever Farragut basketball is over there, these girls, I think, have played since they were in kindergarten, and it showed. They talk to one another. They got each other's backs, just the way they are. When they come off the court, they encourage one another. It's a program, it's culture. And that's what I'm hoping that the girls team will get for West, just like the football team, and the boys basketball team. It's culture, and it takes some time. But the thing is you can be that base piece and only go up from there. That's what I think, honestly. I mean, so yeah. What's up, Shane McGee? My brother Shane, he's a 2003 guy. Loving the show, fellas. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Shane,
yeah.
My guy.
I love it, man. I love it. Anybody that's watching, throw a comment out there. And, if you got any questions, Pair, he has been around this program for 18 years, both programs. And he, even before then, and he knows, what's good and what's not, and we always want to encourage these kids to do their best and keep their head up. And you're a rebel, okay? And be that rebel, on the court and off the court, but in a positive manner. And represent the school, and, talking about last night, because I want to talk a little football, even though the season is clearly over.
Talk football now.
What now?
We got time to talk about football.
We do, and we also got to preview the two big ones coming up for both teams to redeem themselves, honestly, because Maryville's girls team has only won 3 games, by the way, this year. So West has maybe a chance that they can maybe get that first win in a team that might be, so, and it's at home next Tuesday. So, girls, it's there for the taking for you, not saying you can't beat Hardin Valley Friday, but, come on. So win it at home. So, but go ahead, bud. What were you going to say?
Yes, it is there for the taking. And it just watching that Farragut team, how well they played. Like, man, that's why I think Coach C's quote of "We've got to be the solution to the problem," and I think that's just got to be the answer. They've got to communicate with one another on the floor. There were just times watching where I'm like, Summer, like, we got to stop the bleeding a little bit. We got to, like there was some parts of the game where you just like, hey, okay, it's getting out of hand now. Yeah, these last 2 games have been it's been tough on these girls.
It has been.
When you lose the way they're losing, and like the parents are trying their best, and it's just it's a tough a tough time. So like
in a bloodbath of a district, I'm telling you, Bearden girls, Farragut girls, Hardin Valley girls. I mean, Heritage and William Blount have had some girls teams in the past that have been trouble teams. I mean, it is a bloodbath district, and nothing has changed. I mean, it just has always been that way. And they need to get to the days of when Sade Bewley and that group, Miriam and all that won
Patterson. I'm saying,
yeah, for sure. So, but last night, which was a surprise to me, they really didn't make as big of a deal as they did last year, in my opinion. Last year when West played Powell, and I think it was because it was Powell. I think that's why they did it. Is when they honored the state champs last year or what have you. But they had put that on Facebook and Twitter and everything that they were going to be honoring, and they had the trophy out on the by the scores table where you sit at and everything like that, for last year. This year, they honored the back-to-back champs, but I was mad that they didn't have the trophy out there. I would have liked to have seen both trophies there, wheel them out and so forth, and then put them back in the office or what have you, where they sit proudly for everyone to see and take your picture with if you go visit the school. But realistically, I was really, but the ovation that those guys got and the things that Romero read and the accomplishments were the same things that we mentioned a couple weeks ago. The 52-6 record, 4 regions championships, 2 state championships, 29-1 in the last 2 years. And I almost wish I would have slipped a note to Romero and said, oh yeah, by the way, these guys never lost a 5A regular season game, by the way. So, they're Roman Reigns, man, of the wrestling. They don't lose. They don't even need to cheat to win, like with Paul Heyman or the Usos coming in there. But I'm just saying, they were like Roman Reigns, man, the same group. So
our yard. That's one thing I will say. I feel the state championships of the football team is rubbing off on every sports organization in the school.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm hoping it just rubs off on the women's basketball side. Like that's where I'm hoping it rubs off on. And the boys got to get it together. Two losses in a row. It's gonna be interesting to what the game is Friday.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in a second. The one thing I wanted to finish up with the state title team. 3 days ago, I think it was Monday, so forgive me. So that would have been 2 days ago. I've been waiting for it. They waited a little longer than I thought they were going to. They announced the all-state 5A teams. Okay, and basically, I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend to say what goes into what makes you a 5A all-state or 6A all-state or what have you. I thought that it was, who got deep in the playoffs or in the playoffs completely. But no disrespect, speaking of Farragut, I did see Jack Alley, who was a hell of a player for Farragut this year. They didn't make the playoffs. They should have made the playoffs, but they missed it. He got on the 6A all-state team. So I guess it's not necessarily whether you had a deep playoff team run or not. It's like how you performed for the whole year in 6A out of all the teams in the state. And a bunch of writers got together, I guess, across the state and came up with this team or what have you. So the 4 West players that made it, I want to give a shout out to. Hunter Dance was selected as an all-state quarterback in 5A. Marshawn Bowers was selected as an all-state running back in the state. CJ Smith, all-state defensive end. Deservedly so. We've sung his praises. Ryan Scott, the great Ryan Scott, linebacker who, of course, I say is the best linebacker of all time at West. He got all-state.
He is. That kid is phenomenal.
Oh, Ryan, you just watch tape of Ryan Scott.
I love that kid.
Yes. Yeah. And listen, he put a hit on a kid in that one game against, was it? It was either Halls or, and I was like, I thought he had ripped him in half, man. I was like, please get the ambulance. That kid is just done. And you used to call me Scud Missile or whatever. That is a rocket. I don't know what he is, and he's just big and he just goes and he's smart and he's always in a position for a turnover or an interception or has somebody get in position for it. And it was like having a quarterback in the backfield on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to miss that kid. A kid like that, kids like CJ, Anderson Smith, they don't just come around, But I challenge, the Jack Keats and the Davis Neelys and those guys, Kaywood Rose, those linebackers that are sophomores or whatever, it's your time now to be in the weight room, throw that weight up there, run them stadiums in the track, Tobler, and you make your own story when you play this August when the season starts again. I mean, actually it starts before that. It starts in the spring when you scrimmage these teams, and even in the summer. I don't know who they're going to scrimmage. Last year it was Jeff County and Catholic that both had phenomenal years. So Coach is going to get some good teams for us to practice against before that gauntlet of a schedule. 6 of your 10 teams on that schedule were in the preseason top 12, the early top 12. So, but I say all that. I felt there were a couple of guys, in my opinion, that were left off that, and I know that you want to give the love to everybody, but man, how do you pass up Wyatt DeRoche for All-State, man? He had 24 and a half tackles for a loss. He had over 100 tackles. Him and CJ were unstoppable. Even things could be said about Aiden Mohammed that was on that team on the defensive line, and Joey Wilson coming off the bench. Cam Loggins was hurt for most of the year, but I'm just saying that for goodness sakes, like, that boy deserved to be on that All-State team. And Anderson Smith, too, who played hurt all year. I know he came on more, but the thing is, I guess it might have been but you can't tell me and say it's a numbers thing when I just gave you Wyatt DeRoche's numbers. Anderson Smith was one of the best linebackers in the state, and watch that state championship game. He was all over the field with Ryan Scott. And I just feel that those two guys were snubbed big time. And Six Horde. I mean, you didn't even give Six Horde anything, and Six Horde wins that state championship for West with the 3 interceptions, as well as knocking that ball down at the end of the game. So I'm just saying, again, I know that there's only so many spots, but if there was a second team, of course they didn't mention a second team, those 3 should have been on there hands down. I mean, even put Six Horde as a specialist if need be, because he was returning the ball a little bit until they gave that to Burdine. So Six could focus on playing, receiver and DB and not be on the field the whole time. So, and Burdine came on strong at the end. I'm just saying that realistically, props to the 4 young men. How about Britton Carver? We talked about how Britton Carver got mentioned by a bunch of sports writers and in the state of Tennessee as being one of the best offensive line prospects. And, him and CJ were going up against each other in practice all season long. They got better. So I'm just saying, like, he should have been given at least a nod as one of the best offensive linemen in the state. But again, you can't name them all. But I just felt last year's team got a lot more respect because they were 15-0 and had way more guys on that state team than the guys this year. In my just my opinion, BT. So that's just
man. Now there were guys I thought they were left off. How many representatives did Powell have on there?
Powell had. They did give Connor Wheeler, I believe, at running back, and they did give Steve Souls, the Kentucky commit. So but Shane had a comment. I wanted to make sure that he got it, because, like I said, this is your all show as well. Definitely bring your comments and questions. Some of those programs these girls have played since middle school and play AAU together. Amen. Some of those programs are producing D1 girls every season. This district is just brutal. Yep, it is. It is. Preach. So, yeah. I mean, that's exactly right. AAU is a huge thing in some of these sports like soccer and basketball and baseball, the traveling teams. And, again, I would love for that to be, something that, that gets instilled with not only the girls on this team, but the girls coming up through the ranks of the Bearden Middle School or, Northwest Middle or any other middle schools that feed in to Knox West, that they stay together and play, and win together. That's something special. And that's something that this football team and the culture, like you said, hopefully will rub off on the other sports teams. And it was so nice to see the football team standing together these last 2 games at home supporting the basketball team. I really loved seeing that too, Pair. I don't know how you felt about that, but they owned that student section, man. Not just because they were there being honored last night, but they were there just as loud for that Thursday Alcoa game,
Yeah, they were.
So props to them, and Coach Lamar and the fellow football coaches were there for both games supporting the basketball teams. So I was really happy to see that as well. And that's just why we are One West. I mean, that's not just a slogan. We really believe in that. So, I want to kind of look ahead to the big game Friday, and it is a big game. Hardin Valley, it's at Hardin Valley. I'm going to make an appearance there since I live right next door to the school, practically.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you're gonna make an appearance.
I'm gonna make an appearance over there and see what I see if they can get them a win. I don't want to jinx myself, man, but I'm kind of scared to go to that game on Tuesday. I might not be allowed to be at West High School or something because ever since I started coming to these basketball games, we're losing. I don't want to be the jinx, but on the flip side, I go to these football games and we're 29-1. So yeah, we win a lot more than we lose when I go to the football games. So. But they might bar me away from West High School's gymnasium if we don't pick one up when I'm in the stands. But I am going to be there on Friday, make an appearance at the Hardin Valley game. Looking at their record, they're 10-9, 0-2 in the district. Their last last 6 games. They played in the Gatlinburg Christmas tournament. They won against a team called Warren East, 68-36. The next day they played Dawson County out of Georgia, ended up winning that one 64-41. They came up short, I guess, in the tournament championship against DuPont Manuel out of Kentucky. They lost 63-70. Then they came back out on the 4th to play Maryville. They were at home. They lost 52-63. Went on the road Monday against Mo East. Lost 74-82, and then last night at home lost a heartbreaker on a last-second basket to William Blunt, 66-67. So you talk about West not winning at home; they're not winning at home either, and now they're even more desperate because they're already 0-2 in the district in a bloodbath of a district. What you say, Pair?
Man, they got to come out and dictate the pace, play with us, pace, get the tempo going. With being 11-9 now.
Who, us?
No, Hardin Valley being 11-9.
10-9 they are right now. Overall, they're 10-9. Unless I missed one, but Coach T said they were 10-9, 0-2 in the district after last night's loss to William Blunt.
Let me see. I want to say
they might be 11-9 though.
They're 11-9, 1-2 in the district, 3-5 at home.
So they are 1-2 in the district. Okay, I'm gonna fix that.
Yeah, they are 1-2 in the district.
Okay.
Right now they're ranked. They're 27 in class right now. West is 15. So there needs to be a message sent.
Mm-hmm. And they're better. Hey, what's up, George? This is my buddy from Miami. This is my what's up, the Italian Stallion. What's up, George Diaz? How you doing, brother? So.
George Diaz.
Yeah, it's my buddy from Miami. So right there, showing me some love. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. And by you saying they're 27th, Pair, that means they're better than Farragut, who came in what? What was Farragut's ranking again?
Pretty bad. Let me go back.
Damn, they looked good last night. Shoot, I mean,
looked good last night. Yeah,
yeah. There's West bringing out everybody's best shot, the game of their lives last night, and then they've got Bearden on Friday. Apparently, Farragut on Twitter today was telling students, "Hey, you only need to pay $3 to get in, and if you get there at 6 for the girls' game, you get free pizza and a shirt." I mean, like that's what they're doing to get people in the stands for the Farragut Bearden game on Friday night. So, and I thought that anybody went to that one. So,
they're 28th in Knoxville.
Okay.
In class, they're 48.
Gotcha. So Hardin Valley's better than Farragut technically in the ranking. Technically. So, okay. Yeah.
Technically. But if we're talking technical. But that'll be it on the boys basketball side. I got to give a big shout out to Max Preps for all the information.
Oh, they're great.
That they supply.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the fact that they give the rankings like for everything, like, national, state. I mean, that's huge, man. I mean, that stuff's important. So, yeah. Yep. Shane says that game will be a madhouse. It will be standing room only Friday night. Yeah. And it traditionally has always been like the game, Farragut and Bearden, when it came to basketball. But that's why, but here's my thing, Shane, and you can chime in on this too, please. Anybody that's watching this, like, it's the rivalry game, but you lowered the price for the students from 6 to 3 or what have you like that. And if you get there at 6, you get pizza and a shirt. You don't need that for that game. That's like something to promote, like, heritage coming. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that you don't need a promotion for that. So, but I don't know. I mean, $3 in pizza.
Stuff we say off camera. This stuff.
That's right. Hey, I just got a question for you. I want it to be like gondolier pizza for them over there at Farragut. It needs to be something good. It's not going to be no Little Caesars, hot and ready, $6, whatever it is now. I'm being serious, and I can say that because this is a West show. Okay, so there you go. So.
Better be some gondoliers.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That is true. Can I say this? That is true. Bearden fans will show up and show out when it comes for basketball. They will. And let me tell you something. That's why that's so disappointing that West lost last night in boys, because we beat Bearden's boys team at the dog pound. I mean, it wasn't even at West. It was at the dog pound. And West never really wins in the dog pound. That's what's crazy. So watch West win on Friday night and like deem themselves the road warriors. But it's like, you need to win at home, man. Come on. You got to protect Marble City home court. So shoot. I mean, that's just it. And then, and let me ask you this too, Pair. Not to be outdone, Friday's a big one, but then Tuesday, another knockout, drag-out fight in Marble City. Mm-hmm. The battle of the Red Rebels and the Runnin' Rebels.
I know. Rebels galore.
A lot of athletes over there too. A lot of guys, a lot of players, guys that can shoot the three and, got game. They can go inside and out. And they only lost to Alcoa by 1 point. I mean, that was a grudge match, 55-54 when they played. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
They ain't no slouch. I mean,
man, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. And, they themselves last night, they beat Bearden 59-46 at home. Maryville did. Yeah. See, Maryville plays, I believe, if you can look it up for me, I believe they play William Blount on Friday in a district game.
Let's check what Maryville is.
Yeah, because Maryville played Bearden in one. I know they played Hardin Valley last week in one, like I mentioned, 63-52, and they did that on the road. They played a non-conference game on Friday against Kings Academy and beat them by 30 points, 58-28. So they're on a 3-game winning streak coming into this new year so far. So
yeah, they're 12-5. They did beat Bearden. They're at William Blount and they're at West. So
yeah, and that William Blount team is pretty good as well. Team that just missed state by one point in a game last year and brought back a lot of guys, and they won on a last second shot against Hardin Valley last night. So that should be a grudge match rivalry game there between William Blount and Maryville in basketball. They've always played each other competitively in basketball, it seems, over the years. Maybe not football, but definitely basketball. So
Maryville is the 8th best team in the city of Knoxville. They're the 16th best team in Division 4A, and they're 32 in the state of Tennessee.
And we're 17th in 5A at the moment. So they're right there with each other, if I'm not mistaken, you said earlier.
Let's see. We are. Good question. Okay, back to what we are.
I got to put this, keep looking it up. I got to put this, I got to put this comment up by Shane. They got that doctor and lawyer money at Ferry. Preach.
Lawyer money. Love the Farragut people.
Oh, love them. Hey, I'll tell you this: they were a lot more respectful than than the group that I remember from a few years ago from Catholic. Man, those people need to go back to church. And me being Catholic, I can say that with some of the stuff that was coming out of their mouths. I was ashamed, and I went to church with some of those people. So yeah.
16 in Division 4A, 7th in Knoxville, and 31 in the state.
Wow. So
This was really good. I do too. It's just they've got to be able to be the team to dictate and play with space and pace.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing too. I don't really know much about Hardin Valley, like who their better players are, or who their coach is. I'm just kind of going off of the record and so forth. And I know that they'll be up for the game. I mean, again, it's going up against the West and the W. They're going to be up. I would like us to be as up for them. You know what I mean? I know that can be hard, but still be up there. I had a question for you too, Pair. Did Tennessee pull that one out, or did they end up losing that game?
They lost.
Can you believe? Oh my God, Jesus, Lord.
Yeah. The Mississippi State.
You know what the worst thing is too? The Sports Source, who I watch sometimes on Sunday mornings, they had, Tennessee like as almost like a 12, 13-point favorite on the road and covering. Because they do the Cavaleris line, Chuck Cavaleris, and he tries to set like a line of what it was. I don't know what the actual betting line was for tonight's game, but they just felt that Tennessee was so much better than Mississippi State that they should have won that game.
They should have won, yes.
But not blown out by 12 points or anything like that.
So they're not. Mississippi State is a very good ball team.
Yeah. And props to you, by the way. You said that Ole Miss was going to get exposed, that they hadn't played nobody. They were undefeated. I mean, Tennessee ran them off the court. That game was over at halftime. I mean, shoot.
I want to say 90-64.
Yeah, they won by 26 points or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, so props to you on that one. And, we'll talk college ball too. That's crazy now. That's 3 top 5 teams lose in the last 2 nights. Purdue got the doors blown off of them by Nebraska, and Iowa State upset the last undefeated team, Houston, who had just moved up to number 2, and now damn Tennessee loses tonight or what have you. So shoot. All right.
Yep, and Kentucky had a big win in Florida.
Yeah, they had to come back. And then Kansas won on a controversial call against TCU or something like that. So yeah. Let's see here. Terry Maples, my QB, Rebels for life. You betcha, man.
T Maples.
Yeah.
Hold on. Tell me if I'm correct. Did T Maples play 3 sports at West?
I think he did. Terry, you got the floor, man. Did you play 3 sports? Because I know you played football and basketball.
Oh, basketball, and I want to say baseball.
Did he play baseball? I mean, I'll give him the floor here in a second and I show the comments. He said we lost by 5. No one could shoot other than Necht and Ziegler. Yeah, that sounds about right. Tennessee was favored by 2, according to Mr. McGee. So shout out to Shane for giving me that because I did not have that. Track. That was the 3rd one.
Track?
So, yes, track.
I thought it was baseball. Okay.
Oh. Let me tell you this. I am going to love it when he comes on, and he is going to come on. I've already talked to him about that, and I've also got a role for him as we get off-season topics to keep it fresh during the year when the seasons aren't on for both football and basketball because I want him on a panel because he brings a lot of knowledge.
Bring Shane on too. So.
Yeah, I want Shane on there too. So 4 of the top 5, Kansas lost also. So they lost today, I guess. So they should have lost Saturday too. Poor TCU got messed out of that game. But so 4 of the top 5 lost. Wow, that poll will be interesting come Monday of next week, provided these teams don't lose again over the weekend or somebody else doesn't lose behind them. So yeah, still couldn't beat B in a race, Terry. Or still couldn't beat me in a race, Terry. I bet that's what Shane meant to put there. So some trash talking going on there between the two. Class of 2002 and class of 2003. We love to keep it real. Honestly, we love to keep it real there. So for sure. So But yeah, I mean, let me ask you this, two pair.
Hmm.
Realistically, I maybe I got my Homer glasses on. Depending on Reese's, and I know Britton is still working his way back with that wrist. Um, if we were at full strength, I'd say we win both these games, but I think we still win them. I'm expecting a new attitude on Friday, and maybe we got the legs back underneath us to win these next two games, especially Tuesday with the Maryville game. And especially knowing that you got to go and return and play them in 2 weeks at the black hole. So, and the black hole, that's not only football, that's that gymnasium over there that West has not won too many times over there. I mean, we won a region title there, which was very nice. But once upon a time, but we've lost way more than we've won in that gymnasium. I know that for a fact. So you gotta hold home court serve. You know, so what are your thoughts for those two big games coming up, brother?
Well, I think I just need to be able to do what we've said, stretch the floor. They've got to be able to stretch the floor, get the shooters involved, dictate the pace and the flow of the game. I think that's where they'll benefit, space and pace. That's what they need to play with for them to be successful.
I like that.
Next two games, it's like, yeah, space and pace.
And bench, use that bench, man. I mean, golly.
Like, please use that bench. Like, Chris Cowan needs to see the floor. Garrett Birch needs to see the floor.
Yes.
If you're moving Joe Dupree in the starting lineup, he needs to have more than 3 or 4 shots.
Yeah, more shots, please.
Let him shoot the rock. Like,
Yeah.
that's what he's good at. Let that man shoot.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, if it's in the flow of the game and it feels right, shoot the ball, man. Because I felt we were a little bit too unselfish last night. And we're turning the ball over for that extra pass that maybe wasn't necessarily needed, excuse me. But Farragut, man, they fired. Like it was really like no, not trying to be, cliche being an admiral, but man, they fired that cannon and it went in. I mean, it really did every time, it felt like it. And when they shot the ball, that net was as big as the ocean. It really was last night. Really, really disappointing, unfortunately. I wish that they had missed a few of those and some of ours that, God, were in the cylinder and popped out. It was so frustrating to see because they were great shots. Reese had a couple pop out. So did Jalen. Dupree had a couple pop out. And it was just like, man, if those go in, we're not even talking about this. We're talking about a 72-69 win as opposed to a 69-61 loss, and their guys made the three-pointers. That's the truth of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's sad to say both those games could have been changed, but we got a chance to recorrect some things, and we'll be much better in the long run and hopefully have a deep run in March because January and February is telling us that we need to kick it in another gear.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm looking at this schedule, and I know you got the schedule in front of you. District tournament starts February 12th, and that's at Maryville High School. Maryville's the host this year. So, again, that little gymnasium of horrors that it seems like for West. However, West did win a region championship there once upon a time with Carson and J1 and them dudes. I do want to say something, and I don't want to get our hopes up, but I do want to talk to the audience right now, especially our guys Terry and Shane. Much love. Anybody else that's watching or listening. George Diaz even popped on here for a minute to give his love and support, which I appreciate, from down in the 305. That's my brother. Anybody that is a rebel, you played, we've reached out, and I'm hoping we get a guest on next Wednesday because, yeah, we've got William Blunt on the 19th, but and that's going to be a big one. They're all big from here on out, being all district games. But the 23rd on Tuesday is West and Bearden. and that is the game, in my opinion, for West. It's always been the game. I know Bearden feels it's Farragut, but I just feel that West and Bearden, there's something about that one too. And some Bearden people may not agree with that, but it depends on where you went to school. If you went to Bearden Middle, it means more to you than, say, the Farragut game. If you went to West Valley Middle, I bet the Bearden Farragut game is a little bit more to you. So it just depends on where you went to middle school. Cedar Bluff, potatoes. My point is that I'm hoping to get a guest on here. I've reached out to him. You and me talked off screen. I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but I'm hoping I can get him on here for 10 to 15 minutes, if his work schedule will allow it, because he had a couple of solid Bearden game wins that I'd like for him to talk about. I know that I've also talked to, or you talked to, and he mentioned that he'd be down, and I'd like to maybe even get him on that same show, 2 for the price of 1, considering we may not have a full 30 minutes or 20, 30 minutes to dictate to the guest, with the work schedule possibly being in the way. But Brandon Bell has offered to come on as well. Pride and joy of West High School, actor down in Atlanta now, and so forth. So a lot of accolades for B. Bell. I got a lot of love for that guy. So who played in 3 sports against the Dogs: football, basketball, and baseball, respectively. So,
hell of a cleanup hitter.
Yes. So, yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's see here. Terry had a comment. Let's see here. Said, got to get these guys watching Hoosiers before the game, like Petco had us do. Man, I'm down with that. So shoot. I mean, hey, speaking of which, Terry, you brought up something, and you know what? You throw it into the chat too. By the way, football has a lot of movies, obviously, but give me 2 pairs some basketball movies that you absolutely adore to watch, like that you could just pop it in, and it just gives you that feel good moment. So
Blue Chips, Above the Rim, Sunset Park. Ooh, what Glory Road. Ooh.
I like Coach Carter. I always have a soft spot for Samuel L. Jackson and Coach Carter.
More Than a Game was really good. LeBron. Yeah. But Blue Chips, The Air Up There.
Yes.
The Rim is like one of my.
Why does everybody like? I thought Kevin Bacon was awesome in that movie. Honestly,
there's a new basketball movie with Adam Sandler. I forgot the name of it though.
Yeah,
it's where he finds the kid from overseas.
Brings him over. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Adam Sandler's always been a basketball guy. He's always tried to, he incorporated that in the Grown Ups movie and everything. Like, he loves basketball, and being from New York, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah, Adam Sandler nice on the court, but no, Above the Rim probably is like one of my favorite. Blue Chips was great though.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to M. Keep up the good work. Great show. Thank you for your love. Honestly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for watching and commenting. See here. Terry's got Coach Carter. Oh, Terry, thank you. White Man Can't Jump. I love that one with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson and Rosie Perez. Great one. One. So,
like, dang, I didn't think about that.
I didn't think about that one too. And I did a paper on that one for cinema studies. So shoot.
Great.
That's good, man.
He Got Game is up there too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this one. 2 Pair, don't lie. You were in this as his stand-in for the actual basketball, because we know he can't play. You were in there for Omar Epps for Lovin' Basketball. So that one's got to be. You are Omar Epps is stand-in. So you were in there for Lovin' Basketball movie.
Oh my God, you got it. Hit it with that.
I liked For Lovin' Basketball though. It was that Win song. When I was on break, I'd go chill and watch that one because we didn't have a really rockin' set at that time. West Town Mall was getting all the good movies. So and Win song ain't even open anymore. They're closed, man. They closed them doors last July and didn't even give us a week to go in there and catch one last flick. So, but just sits there dormant, empty. So,
what did Terry say?
Let me see here. Oh, is that a shout out to Whoopi Goldberg? Eddie was a pretty decent one too.
Eddie was
Eddie, yeah. Oh, Hustle with Adam Sandler. That
that's
was
the name of it. I love that movie.
Shane is like bringing it tonight, man.
Hey,
He's
see,
helping me
see,
out.
this is key for the show. Cause some of this stuff I wouldn't have known.
We don't have time. We don't. I don't want to get on the phone and look at this and be rude to you all. You all bring that stuff, honestly.
Yeah, man. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, but what about that one basketball movie? What was that one? It was a Will Ferrell semi-hard or semi-pro. That was hilarious. I died laughing at that one. Semi-hard, semi-pro. Yeah. So whatever it was called. So I got that one in the John Riley movie, Walk Hard, the making fun of the Johnny Cash movie. I got those mixed up. So don't fault me on that one. So shoot. Let's see here. So Blue Chips was the best NCAA basketball movie, very comparable to the program as a football movie. Amen. Two Pair was also in the program. He was Darnell Jefferson. So you saw him running the rock in that one. So there you go. He not only took Halle Berry from Ray there from there, but he also took his starting spot. That's why they brought him to ESU. So, and he said they'd be indubiously number one. They won it the following year off camera. So that's what happened there. So
wow, I always wonder what happened that next year.
Yeah, dude. But you're right, Terry. I mean, Nick Nolte was Bobby Knight. I know they had that game at the end where they got Bobby Hurley to pretend he was a Hoosier, and you all know he went to Duke. But we know that Nick Nolte was Bobby Knight, kicking the dang basketball and getting thrown out of games. I mean, but. Man, God, they had some players in that movie. God, Butch McRae, as of course was Penny Hardaway and Shaq. Oh, man. Neon Badeau. So shoot. I mean, that was a great one. That was a great one. So
how about Matt Nover?
Two Pair was the stunt double fighting for the ball that fumbled in the class when the big guy knocks it off the desk or whatever, trying to bring it back to coach. That was you fighting for the ball.
Me, man.
Oh, so good, so dang good. So, but let me tell you this, man. The program. Oh man, that movie that used to get me. That's what I used to watch before. Like I loved that movie and the trash talk of what's it called, Alvin Mack, man, at linebacker, and that injury. I know it was just a movie, but man, that is still the most gruesome injury on field. And when he says to coach, I ain't never going to play again. I mean, that just breaks my heart every time I see it. I know it's just a movie. And I didn't even know that guy really played football. I think, or his son played football at Ohio State a couple of years ago, the actor that plays that guy. And remember, he was also the guy, the ghost that's killed in Beetlejuice. That's the football player. And he also played the wide receiver that couldn't catch the ball in Necessary Roughness with Sinbad and Scott Bakula. So that guy is like used in a bunch of movies, that actor and so forth. I can't think of his name, but they have him as a hulking linebacker in the program. I mean, so yeah. Let's see here. Rebound with Don Cheadle as Earl the Goat Manigault.
And Earl, yeah,
Don is a great actor, man. He is in some good movies. So
Pistol is a good movie. Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete, yeah, that was a good one too. That was a good one. So yeah. See, that's what this show's all about. We'll incorporate the West stuff, but you had a great comment last night on Facebook about why am I having to pay for movies that came out in the 90s or whatever like that. I mean, you're right.
A woman. I want to shout my woman. I got to shout her out.
Go do it, buddy. That's what this show's all about.
I said, have you ever seen The Inkwell? She says, no, I haven't seen The Inkwell. I'm like, have you not seen The Inkwell? I'm like, cool. I got it on demand. So I'm flicking. And I see you got paid $3.99 for a movie that came out in 1994. Mm-hmm. 94?
Probably $20 to own it if you really like it that much, on top of the $3.99 if you wanted to rent it. So yeah.
Like, come on, man. I can understand the movie come out in 2022, 2023. It's understandable.
Yeah.
But you can't.
No. Well, can I also say this much to follow up with that? Little bit of a different story. When we were getting ready for Halloween, my stepdaughter had never watched the new Halloween movies that came out, the ones with Jamie Lee Curtis and the granddaughter and all that.
Yeah.
So I had to go to Pair, no joke, to 3 different streaming services on 3 different nights to watch each of those movies. And it's like, I'm paying for these streaming services, but I'm not going to go to one that I'm already paying $5 a month for to watch the third one. But you want me to pay money to watch the first one because it's not featured free. So I got to go to HBO Max and watch that one as opposed to Peacock, and then find the third one on darn Amazon Prime. I mean, that's insane.
That's what I said last night.
That is insane. So, I mean, so I'm already paying for 3 different streaming services, and I had to watch 3 sequels on 3 different platforms on 3 different nights because they weren't all on the same thing. I mean, it's just one of those things. I was like, man, they got you. They got you on that. So shoot.
I was talking to my woman about that, and I said, "You got to be kidding me! I'm paying $3.99 for all of this."
Well, hey, I've got one for you real quick, and I know we're getting close to the time or whatever, but
Oh yeah,
what I wanted to tell you this was, hey, Terry had one more comment. Cat Williams ran a 4.4 today at 52 years old.
yeah, Memphis.
Wow.
Yeah, he was. Hey, how about Cat Williams, man?
Sure. Yeah. Hey, is Damon still chasing him around the hood there on Friday After Next or what? Pimp down.
Pimp down.
That was the only thing he could get away from Damon, that 4.4 speed, man, honestly. So shoot, man. But no, that's crazy, man. God, to run 4.4 at 52 years old. Goodness gracious. So shoot. I wonder what Chris that used to play for the Titans, that running back or whatever, Chris Johnson. I wonder what he's running nowadays, if he stayed in shape. And I know they had him try to run a race against a cheetah a while back or something like that to see who was faster. It's one of them gimmick things. So yeah, just like how they had Michael Phelps racing against a shark or something like that. But whatever.
Because I wouldn't even got in that water.
No, and it was funny how they did it. It was funny how they did it. They had a virtual shark in one lane, and they had the Michael Phelps in the other. And so it really wasn't a shark. It was just like who would get to the fit. And dude, that shark would have had a meal. That's all I'm going to say. Would have ripped that torso right off if that was in the water for real. But anyway, and that's the fastest swimmer in the world at one time. So, But anyway, that's what we got tonight, guys. Listen, a lot of shouts out. I mean, I want to give a shout out to Pair Tate Barbecue that was one of our sponsors tonight.
That's right.
And I also want to give hey, let me ask you this. Is that barbecue sauce better than slapping your mama? Honestly, I just want to ask that as a reference to the late great John Witherspoon. So yeah,
hopefully we'll get All That Smoke to be one of our sponsors, and that is some barbecue sauce that you can slap your mama.
Absolutely.
But Tate's Barbecue been making good barbecue since yesterday. Hey,
listen, I love me some good barbecue. I love me some ribs. So anytime, I'm there, brother. I'm there. I will say this much. I gave a shout out to Tune Up last week. I want to give him another one. I even did a promo for the show right when Kim did my beard, and she even did my waxes. She did my ears, my nose, and my eyebrows. I mean, she did my hair. She styled it, whatever little I have left still on top, being almost 40. But the point of it is that she takes care of me, and she and her team at that location at Carnes, Alcoa that just opened up, Lenore City, they will take care of you for the waxings, the manicures, the pedicures, shoulder massages, haircut, beard trims. They got VIP specials, drinks, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, video games. And of course, we do have to say one thing that I think we need to just finish the show with because it was on one of their TVs and my mouth absolutely dropped. Nick Saban retired today? How can we go through this show and not mention him? Here's the deal. You and me ain't Alabama. We can't stand Alabama. But I'm going to say this. The playing field just got big time even. Unless now it becomes Kirby Smart's world that we're living in. and not Nick Saban's.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick Saban is no longer here.
And I'll tell you this, 30 days, these next 30 days, the players have a choice to transfer or not, whoever the successor is. The bylaws in the NCAA state that when a coaching change happens or retirement, 30 days they have to transfer if they're not happy. And I don't even know who they're going to get. I've heard Sarkisian.
Knoxville.
Yeah, I know, right?
Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And I'll go to Coral Gables.
Yeah. I wouldn't bet against those three coaches in terms of recruiting. I'm telling you. So I would not. I would not. So I'm telling you. So yeah. Terry Maples, D'Amico Ryan should be the next Bama coach. Well, dude, the Texans though. I mean, shoot,
I don't know when
you're
for that highest level.
Yep. Yeah. And Terry, thank you, brother. Yep. The 5-star wide receiver has already said he's making his decision in the next month of who he's going to commit to. And that's going to be the old recruiting day. Remember February, we all used to gather around our TVs before the early signing day came about. We all used to wait that first Wednesday in February of where everybody was going. So he'll make his decision then. That's when the high school recruits can actually sign on the dotted line. So, But it's Kirby's world now. But Saban was the standard of college football. Shane, I agree with you, man. That Georgia team was sick. And I still, do not know how in the world they lost to that Alabama team. I mean, that we talked about that last week. That was just
still to this day. How does the Georgia team lose to Alabama in this?
Hey, listen, and I know Terry's pretty passionate about how bad he hates that Michigan team that just won the other night and so forth. And listen, I'll give them props. They're the national champs till we find out some crap happened and they get the banner taken down or whatever. But they're the champs until otherwise. That being said, though, I disagree with Paul Feinbaum. If that Georgia team that showed up mad and angry at the Orange Bowl against Florida State played Monday night against either of those two teams, it would have been really bad. It would not have been TCU bad last year, but I would have gone easily 42-21 or something. Very strong margin of victory the whole game, honestly, just not even close. And if that's not, and who knows if Bowers is even playing in that game at tight end, who was hurt. So I'm just saying Georgia was the standard these last 3 years, in my opinion, defensively, offensively, special teams. And props to them for winning 2 titles in that 3-year span, and just making it look easy out there. And they just signed another number 1 recruiting class. And who knows if they themselves get some kids from this possible mass exodus out of Tuscaloosa themselves. Scary to think about. So, yeah. Hey, shout out to the Milkman and the Big Band. Had to tune in at the end of the show. We salute you, Stallion. Salute you back, Milkman. Props to you and your all's band getting your first record out March 25th. That's a special day because I know that that's your birthday and my wedding anniversary. So I can't wait to check them out. Check them out, Milkman and the Big Band. It's an 18-piece rock band. If you can believe that, they got strings, horns, guitars, drums, they rock. And they play old stuff and stuff they've written. And their album's coming out at the end of March. They've got a lot of dates set up this year throughout, like a Yeehaw down in the Old City, or near the Old City, rather. It's off Central Avenue, excuse me. Yeehaw, they're going to be performing on March 29th, if I'm not mistaken. They're also going to be performing at a music festival on April 11th on a Thursday at the Capitol Theater in Maryville. They also have a few dates set up throughout the summer, and it's definitely a fun group to watch outside with a picnic chair and nice cold drinks. So they're entertaining for a few hours there. The Milkman and the Big Band. So I want to give them a shout out too, for sure. So what's Terry got here? Bama fans chanting anyone but Dabo at the basketball game tonight. That is a hot take right there on Rebels with a Cause, man. Look at that. Shane McGee dropping lines and giving us titles that we didn't remember. That's a Rebel with a Cause. Terry Maples dropping the heat with that stuff too. Anyone but Dabo. And you want to know the sad thing? He should have left and taken the Jaguars job with his boy ETN and Sunshine. Could have been fired this year as the scapegoat and then taken the Alabama job. And they would have been like, oh, he's just like Nick. He's just a college coach. He ain't good in the pros. Man, these last couple of years, without those fun guys, they don't want Dabo.
We got the wild card playoffs this weekend.
Yeah, we do. And my Dolphins are horrible, and they're going to lose in -9-degree weather. Put your mortgages and all your bets on Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey and Taylor Swift. They will kill the Dolphins by 30 points on Saturday night. I have been with this pain for 40 years, and I think I'm the jinx of the Dolphins. Ever since I was born, we haven't been to a Super Bowl, and it ain't this year either. So that's what I say to the Miami Dolphins this year. Oh, my God. They couldn't have given me the division title. That's all I wanted. They had the shirts printed on Facebook. Somebody released, like, oh, get your Dolphins East Division. They forgot there was a whole other half to play, and the Bills Mafia was down there in Miami, and it was a virtual home game for them. I mean, I've been living with this for 30 years as a Dolphins fan that knew what football was when we lost the AFC Championship game. That was Marino's best shot to get back. Oh, my God. But, yeah, playoffs this weekend. Between you and me, I don't think they're playing because they got that bye. I got the Niners and the Ravens in a battle of a rematch from that game when it was the Harbaughs 10 years ago. Or
yeah, the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, so, yeah. But let's see here. Terry got one more thing. Also, shout out to Matt Comer on Apple Music, former Rebel as well. Yeah, TJ was the one that kind of brought that up to me, that Matt Comer has Apple Music out there too. And he is a former Rebel, played football, and now a musician with his stuff out there. So go give Matt Comer a shout out there on Apple Music for sure. So, because that's all we do here, man. It's all about West. It's all about the Rebels with a cause. And hopefully we get some guests for you next week. But, either way, it'll be two Pair and the Stallion here entertaining you. So we end every show real quick with the W. And hopefully that W will be standing up Friday night at Hardin Valley and also Tuesday night in Marble City. If you can come out to either game, come out and support them Rebels. And as always, guys, love each other, be good to one another, and be a Rebel with a cause on the court, on the field, and outside the classroom. Love you guys. Give a shout out to Pair. I'll let you finish us out.
Yeah, love, peace, chicken grease, and hey, don't step on those shoes.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Great show. Go Rebels. Stallion out.